What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing some battles running a triple Mantis theme team in the Open Great League with Scyther, Lurantis and Levani, which is a team requested by a subscriber a few months ago, I believe in response to a question of the day asking which animal theme teams you'd like to see me run in the future. And I will be honest, I have actually already given this team a try, but I'm pretty sure I went 0-10, had a very rough time with this team and then just gave up because this team, first of all, you can see it is triple weak to the flying typing, and flying is probably one of the strongest but also one of the most diverse typings in terms of coverage that it has for the meta. So you can very easily run an ABA double flying team where neither flying type actually share any of the same weaknesses. So for example, Skarmory and Altaria work very well together. You've also got like Gligar and Mantis that work well, and you've got other flying types that are also very strong like Talonflame. And not to mention, this team's also triple weak to fire, and Levani specifically is actually both double weak to flying and fire. So yeah, this team absolutely awful to run. I did not get many wins, but I think I've just about got enough to make a video out of. Do expect to see more losses than wins, but I've tried to include mostly just the close losses, a couple of losses that were just absolutely unplayable, just to see sort of what I had to deal with whilst running this team, and then obviously a few wins as well. But with that being said, let's just get into the question of the day. Which slightly more viable triple animal theme team would you like to see me running in the future, and also would you like to see the animal roulette wheel return in a future live stream and potentially in a dual live stream with another content creator? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Alright, so heading into the first battle, it's Scyther into Serperior, and I do want to mention I actually used an Elite TM to get a Steel Wing on my Scyther just because I feel like it's got slightly better coverage. Obviously it's resisted by stuff like water types, but I've got two grass types in the back. But I just think up against a lot of flying type Pokemon, having Steel Wing for neutral damage, or at least up against like a Gligar or a... Actually, to be fair, a lot of the flying types are also going to resist Steel Wing, so it's not that great, but either way, it's going to do slightly better. But unfortunately, the opponent does make a very nice catch there, catching the resisted Aerial Ace onto Skarmory. Of course, this team is very, very rough up against a Skarmory, but at least they are running Steel Wing these days, so we're not taking super effective damage from the fast move here. We go for the superpower, dealing big damage, and we're also going to throw on CMP, and that's actually perfect for me as superpower number 2. Going to grab the final shield from the opponent. So actually, we've got the Skarmory pretty low and grab the final shield there. I'm hoping we can come in with Levani and just go for a full Razor Leaf farm down. It's going to be incredibly close here, but Levani is just barely not able to do so. So at this point, I'm definitely going to have to shield. Sky Attack will be double super effective. I'm expecting the opponent to come back in with the Serperior and blind throw the Aerial Ace. So I swap into my Scyther, I make the catch, and at this point, I'm just going to go straight for the X-Scissor and hope that there is a Mud Boy in the back. So X-Scissor gets the KO. It's not a Mud Boy, but it's a Lantern, which is nearly as good here. But can Levani actually live a Thunderbolt? It's going to be close. Thunderbolt doesn't get the KO there. We come out with a Leaf Blade loaded, and of course Leaf Blade going to hit for super effective damage. It will eventually take out the Lantern, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to opponent there. Internet CMC Skarmory in the lead this time around, so not ideal, and I guess Steel Wing probably still is, well actually it's not that good for us here because unfortunately in the one shield scenario I'm just barely not going to make it to 3 Night Slashes, as by the time I make it to back-to-back Night Slashes after throwing a first one, they are actually going to make it to the second Sky Attack there, whereas with Fury Cutter we do pace just slightly better to the charge boost, but luckily for me the opponent actually ends up throwing on CMP there. We're going to come in with Lurantis. I'm not going to throw straight away because I don't want to debuff myself, so I'm actually just going to shield here. The opponent comes in with Annihilate, and I'm hoping because we've seen Skarmory in the lead, they might have a Mud Boy in the back. So if that's the case, this is actually looking like it could be a winnable game here. So going to go for back-to-back Leaf Blades, landing the second one. Now I'm going to swap into my Levani here. I think I'm going to shield this up here. I'm going to shield at the last second. It is a Shadow Ball, but we get the Razor Leaf farm down. They come in with the Skarmory, and unfortunately, I cannot get that Razor Leaf farm down once again. So I throw on the CMP tie. Leaf Blade is going to grab the final shield from the opponent. So the fact they shield here almost guarantees it's going to be a Mud Boy in the back. Except it isn't a Mud Boy in the back, it's going to be a Carbink, and unfortunately, once again, not running Fury Cutter on my Lurantis means that we are just barely not going to make it to back-to-back Leaf Blades there, and the opponent does make it to a Rock Slide, taking out Lurantis, and unfortunately, we do lose that game. But GG's to the opponent there. Into the next game, we see Skeledirge in the lead. So basically, my only win condition here is landing a Night Slash. But not only that, I kind of just need them to no-shield everything. So Night Slash coming through, grabs a shield. We go for one extra Steel Wing. We swap into our Lurantis. And at this point, there's really no point in shielding. This is game over, but I'm going to no-shield. And they go for a Disarming Voice. Here, I just go for one Leafage. I can't really rely on the new mechanic to get 2 Leafages in and then throw the Charge Move here. But I am going to have to rely on it to make it to another Night Slash. And we actually do get there in time, so we will at least grab both shields from the Skeledirge, but we are double weak to fire. These Incinerates absolutely chunking here, but they will throw a Charge Move. Razor Leaf will be taking them out here. And yeah, I needed something that we could just Razor Leaf farm down with my Levani, and Trevenant is not one of those Pokemon, unfortunately. So X-Scissor doesn't get the KO, and we do go down to the Shadow Claw damage to lose that game. But GG's to the opponent there. Into next game, the opponent's going to lead with Annihilate and then Sage Swap into a Shadow Gramble. And honestly, I should probably just go straight for Night Slash here. It's pretty likely that they're going to shield. And because I go for Night Slash, I don't make it to another Charge Move. And they actually still get the Charm Farm down despite having Steel Wing as a fast move on my Scyther. But either way, we're going to come in with Lurantis and we are going to see the Annihilate coming back in. Going to go straight for the Leaf Blade here. Leaf Blade is going to be no-shielded. So at this point, I'm also going to no-shield. I believe this is just going to be a Night Slash. So I will let it go through. Then swap into my Levani, and the opponent's going to respond with a Charm, a load of Ninetales. So running Annihilate, double Charm, a little bit scary for us, but I think we are going to be able to deal enough damage with the Razor Leaves here, not to take them out, but at least put them into farm down range. And here the opponent makes a mistake. There's no point in throwing a Charge Move here. They should just go for the full Charm farm down, but they wouldn't get it anyways. And at this point, I've got the opportunity to go for a double resisted superpower for the BM and still get the KO up against the Annihilate. So of course, I'm going to take it, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to opponent there. Into next game, we see a Shadow, Alolan Sandslash in the lead. So this is not ideal, but at least they are not running Powder Snow. So we're taking neutral damage here, and we go for the Night Slash. No boost, but honestly, I think I'm going to shield anyways. We know we can win CMP, so if they do throw straight away once again, then we're probably going to grab a shield back from the opponent. I'm hoping at this point I put them into Razor Leaf farm down range, and this time we do get the boost, but I don't think I can double shield my Scyther. So Ice Punch will be taking us out. We are going to think about what to do here. Come in with Levani, and they come in with a Gligar. So this is really not a good team for us so far. We're going to shield this up, of course, as they go for an Aerial Ace. I'm hoping I can just about live an Aerial Ace and make it to back-to-back Leaf Blades here. I really need that damage up against the Gligar, and actually they no-shield the first one, so this is okay. We should be able to just fully Razor Leaf farm them down, but we end up making it to a Leaf Blade anyway, so this is fine. I'm going to throw it here. I go for a slight undercharge, doesn't really make a difference there. They come back in with the Sand Slash. I should be able to go for a full Razor Leaf farm down, but I lag as I come in, and we don't get it, and unfortunately, Ice Punch gets the KO, and we end up losing that game there. So obviously I don't know what their third Pokemon was. I think I would have only won that if it was, say, a Mud Boy in the back, or maybe a Lantern again. But yeah, I think we probably would have lost anyways, but it is definitely very frustrating that we get the one-turn lag as we come in, and then also they end up getting the damage registration error to get off the Charge Move as well. But either way, we're going to go into the next battle, and the opponent, I believe, led with a Shadow Gallade. They say swap into Gligar, and I'm able to throw on the CMP tile, which is very good, as we put them into range once again, where we should be able to farm them down. I'm hoping we can actually just come in with the Lurantis and get the Leafage farm down, but we're barely not able to. Instead, I have to throw a Charge Move, but I throw on CMP. The opponent shields, but they were at 1 HP, so we get the KO anyways, despite them shielding there, and they've got Greninja in the back, so this should be game over at this point. All I have to do is save my shield for my Levani. They go for a Night Slash, doesn't do that much damage. We go for 2 more Leafages here, and just in case, for whatever reason, we don't make it to another Charge Move up against Gallade, I swap into my Levani, and the opponent's just going to concede the match there, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to opponent there, into next game, awful lead. I'm pretty sure we already know what the team's going to be. I probably should swap into my Levani here. And yeah, if I was somehow able to also flip switch advantage with my Levani, then actually, you know what, it wouldn't be that bad, because then we have Lurantis up against the Bastiodon, and I'd have my Steel Wing Scyther up against the potential Wigglytuff. But yeah, unfortunately, we are met with the Victory Bell, and a Superpower still doesn't quite get the KO there. I think even if we did flip switch advantage there, I think there's no play for us in all honesty. So at this point, I think I am just going to concede the match. Wigglytuff comes in, they're going to be able to Charm Farm me down. So yeah, pretty hard loss there, but GG's to the opponent. Into next battle, gonna see Poliwrath in the lead. So this is where Steel Wing, not particularly helpful, but I guess the Fury Cutter damage would also be resisted. We need to run something like Air Slash to actually deal enough fast move damage to take them out with an Aerial Ace. But here I'm gonna no shield just because I am double resisting the counter damage, so I felt like I might as well tank that charge move there. And they come in with a Shadow Skarmory. So here we're gonna go for the superpower. I'm hoping the opponent will throw pretty much straight away here, but they're not going to. It looks like they're going to commit to a full Steel Wing farm down. Luckily for me though, we did land a superpower, but they do get that huge farm down, and at this point they've got a lot of energy, so we are going to wait out the Switch Shock as full as possible, come in with my Levani, and at this point they might overfarm with the first or the second Sky Attack, sorry, so I'm not going to try and swap here, but I will try and catch the next charge move coming from the Shadow Skarmory, so we're going to go for the catch here just as they're making it to the charge move. And once again, I'm hoping with a Skarmory, they might have a Mud Boy in the bag, but we will just see here. Gonna go for the full Razor Leaf farm down. We literally need a Mud Boy, nothing else we can take out, and it ends up being a Giratina Origin form, so there's literally no chance here. I'm gonna fire off the Leaf Blade just to see how much damage it does. Of course, this will definitely not KO. It is resisted damage, and yeah, that does very little damage, and unfortunately, we do lose that game. But GG's to the opponent there into the next game, and we've got a more playable lead, although still not that ideal for us because I assume they're probably running Thunder, so I'm going to go for the Aerial Ace straight away, then go for one extra Steel Wing, and then swap into my Lurantis to catch the potential Thunder. Of course, they could be running Flash Cannon, but this opponent is running Thunder, and now they swap into Mantine, so not ideal for me, but not the worst either. I'm going to go straight for the Leaf Blade, and at least Leaf Blade is going to be neutral damage. They actually end up shielding the first one, but they overfarm, allowing me to make it to a second Leaf Blade, and probably the best case scenario, grabbing a shield and also dealing big damage with my Lurantis. Now, of course, they did overfarm massively, so I don't think Scyther will make it to a charge move before they make it to their own, but I'm going to come in with the Scyther, and we could have actually got the Night Slash off there, but I don't think it would KO, so instead, going to play it safe, use my shield there, and now I think this will be Night Slash range, so I'm going to fire it off immediately. Night Slash is going to grab a shield, but we get the boost, so at this point, I wasn't really considering double shielding my Scyther, but at this point, I definitely will. They come back in with the Ferrothorn. We're going to overfarm just a little bit, go for the Aerial Ace, and Aerial Ace is going to KO the Ferrothorn. They're going to come back in with the Mantine, and we go for the full Steel Wing farm down. They now come in with a Quagsire, and of course, we've got a Razor Leaf user in the back, but we're not even going to need it as we go for a Night Slash. And at this point, we're going to go for an Aerial Ace as well, and of course, Aerial Ace with that boost will be taking out the Quagsire, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into next game, we see Scyther into Defense Form Deoxys. So a fairly decent lead matchup for me. And we are not going to throw straight away because I don't have X-Scissor, but I think X-Scissor is more likely to grab a shield than the Night Slash. But unfortunately, they come in with Umbreon, so not having X-Scissor there, I could have possibly just stayed in if I was running it, but we're going to swap into Levani, and you can see that a second foul play is basically going to KO us, and also, we didn't swap out quite quickly enough to make it to an X-Scissor before they made it to back-to-back charge moves. So here, I'm hoping X-Scissor with a few more Razor Leaves will get the KO, but it's actually not able to do so. So Levani actually losing the 0-to-1 shield scenario, sorry, the 1-to-0 shield scenario up against a dark type Pokemon is incredibly embarrassing. I mean, already Levani losing super hard to all the flying type and all the fire type Pokemon, but losing to a Pokemon that you're supposed to be, oh my gosh, this Pokemon was just so rubbish to use. But anyways, we come in with Lurantis. I can't really afford to shield this up. They go for the Psycho Boost, and they are actually going to stay in and then make a very nice catch, although doesn't really matter, it's still neutral damage as they catch a Leaf Blade. We can now swap into our Scyther. I'm going to throw a Night Slash here. I'm just depending on a boost basically, and we don't get the boost this time around. Aerial Ace, you're going to see, does not do much damage up against the Toxapex, and I probably should just concede the match at this point, but I'm going to allow the opponent to just go for a full Poison Jab farm down up against the remainder of my team, taking out both the Scyther and the Lurantis to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into next, you'll see Greninja in the lead. So this is okay. I've got two grass types in the back. And unfortunately, the opponent actually swaps at the same time there. If I'd have just stayed in, obviously Scyther would have a decent matchup up against Defense Form Deoxys, although Rockslide would definitely one-shot us. But we are going to no shield here, as the opponent's running Thunderbolt there. They didn't want to debuff their attack, going for a Psycho Boost straight away, in fear that I might shield it. But now we can go for a second Leaf Blade, and because we were able to slightly overfarm there, we actually take them out with the Leaf Blade, which is very nice. Mantis. They come in with a Shadow Beedrill, and at this point it's looking pretty good. All I have to do is basically get rid of the Beedrill, and Leavanny should be able to sweep up against that Greninja. We're going to go for a Night Slash, a bit of an unnecessary bait here, and the opponent is going to let that go through, but it doesn't matter. We still get the Steel Wing farm down, and now we can just come in with Leavanny. The opponent will be conceding the match, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. I will say I didn't really feel good about forcing opponents to concede the match after seeing my Razor Leaf user, but also Leavanny's only other option is going to be Bug Bite, which is basically just useless in every scenario. So many different typings resist the bug typing, so not particularly helpful. But either way, the opponent's going to swap into Empoleon, and here I am a little bit slow to swap out. At this point I realised I'm not going to get the Razor Leaf farm down. I might as well just fully sacrifice Leavanny. It is a pretty useless Pokemon, as we've seen several times already throughout these battles. So instead we come in with the Lurantis here, and I'm not going to throw straight away. I wasn't certain who'd win CMP, so I don't take the risk, and instead I'm going to commit to a full Leafage farm down, and we get the farm down, which is very nice. Although, of course, this energy doesn't really help me that much going into Altaria, so we're going to go for a Superpower, and then I will swap into my Scyther, go for one extra Steel Wing, go for an Aerial Ace. I'm hoping they just no-shield this here, but the opponent is going to shield the Altaria, and then I'm going to swap into a Swampert. Now, I make a bit of a mistake here. Typically, I count by the sounds of the fast moves. I actually play with the sound on. I know a lot of people don't play with sound on at all. I actually really like it, as it's very clear to hear how many fast moves an opponent has got through. But sometimes when opponents get a 0-turn swap, or if they do just swap and for whatever reason, you might not hear the first fast move, so I end up miscounting there. I don't think a Superpower would have taken out the Altaria anyways, so it doesn't really matter. But GG's to that opponent, and into the next battle. This was actually the most frustrating battle that I did all day. Not because it's a bad matchup or anything like that. It's actually because it was a really, really good matchup, seeing Steel Wing into that Alola Ninetales, but the opponents just completely lagged out of this battle. You're going to see, with the remainder of this team, I could have very easily won this game, and it would have also been pretty satisfying to see as well. But unfortunately, they completely lag out, or they just decide not to bother tapping at all. But either way, yeah, unfortunately, it would have just been a pretty nice win there, but I left it in anyways just to show, because I really didn't get that many wins. But into the next battle, probably the final battle of this video, will lead into another Alolan Sandslash. This time they're not Shadow, but they're also running Powder Snow, which isn't ideal. Again, going for the Night Slash on the CMP tie, and we actually get the boost with the first Night Slash this time around, so that's actually quite nice for us. I'm going to shield up the Ice Punch here, and again, we're just going to throw straight away. There's no point over farming here. Going to go for Night Slash number 2. Night Slash is going to grab the shield, and we get the double boost with those Night Slashes. At this point, I'm actually going to double shield my Scyther. I know I said last time there's no point in double shielding. My backline is going to be too weak to beat whatever's in the back, but I just commit both shields anyways. And look at the double boosted Night Slash. That does so much damage to Goodra. At this point, I'm just praying for like something weak to grass in the back. So we're going to come in with Leavanny here, as I will be able to Razor Leaf farm them down. I'm hoping I resist all of the charge moves, and they go for an Alcatel, which is fine. But no, it's a Gligar in the back. And what I should have done there, and that I didn't do, is I know that my Lurantis will live an Aerial Ace, not super comfortably, but it will live it. So what I should have done is actually farm up to a Leaf Blade before swapping out on my Leavanny, because now unfortunately allow them to just basically fully wing attack farm me down. I'm not at a charge move, Leaf Blade wouldn't KO anyway, so it doesn't really matter, but unfortunately we do lose that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. And if you want to take your support even further, you can now become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has already become a channel member. Your support is greatly appreciated, and with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.